Thank you for tuning in. This is part 3 of Intro to Paint Pouring on a Budget. So if you want to see how we painted these 3 tiles, I'm going to walk through a flip cup and a dirty pour with you. Stay tuned. Let's start with a flip cup. That's your basics. This is a tile. When you are doing anything, so if you're working with canvases, you can put tacks on the back of it. You can tap some tacks in and it'll support its surface. If you're doing tiles, that doesn't work. Also on canvases, you can do the same thing I'm doing here. You put some cups underneath it. These are those same little cups that have the tops on them. You can use any of these cups. You can use any plastic cups you have. If you're from New Orleans and you know what Mardi Gras is, then you can use Mardi Gras cups. As you can see, it's painted all over to hold the canvas up. The idea is that the canvas has to lift off the table so that the paint can run over the surface that you are dealing with. So tiles, when you take them out the box, they have dust on them. Make sure you wipe the dust down because you don't want dust in your picture or dirt or particles in your picture. So this is a 6x6 and we're going to do the flip cup on it. So this is a flip cup which was layered. This is a dirty cup which is not. So if you're only doing 1 cup, sometimes I do 2. It depends on the size of a canvas I'm using. Sometimes I do more than 1 cup. If you're only doing 1 cup, you just flip the thing over that you're messing with and put the cup down. People that are really good, they use like spatulas and they put the cup on it and pull it out. I'm not that talented. Sometimes I just flip it because I like the effect of the paint that comes out because it gives more of a reaction. So once you flip the cup, you have to let it sit for a minute so that the white can still push in through those colors. Once the white pushes through the colors, it makes cells happen and it gets your reaction going. These are gloves. Home Depot sells them, Walmart sells them. Cheapest place to buy them is Amazon. This paint is toxic. I don't know that craft paint is as toxic as like your artistry paint. So you want to keep it off your skin. So I'm going to put these gloves on. Your skin will look like this. If you don't, or worse, it washes off. But it has a kind of toxicity that some people do not want in their bloodstream. So when you flip a cup, let it sit. Then when you lift it, don't just lift straight up and let the paint drop onto it, because then those paint drops are going to make different effects in that. You can pull one way or the other. You can slide up and pull back. There's a whole bunch of different techniques you can see. You can swirl around, you can pull straight down, whatever you're feeling like that day. Just don't pull straight into the air and just let the paint drop down, because you lose your effect. So I'm just going to pull side back. Let the paint start to settle. Even though I put alcohol in here, I'm going to torch it a little bit to get some of the bubbles and to get some more effect to pop through. See those things popping up? Those are your cells. I'm gonna let it sit for a second and finish making its cells. These tiles are slick. Now that canvas over here, not slick. So I'm going to show you proper way on this canvas. You can put a layer of white down on the canvas to give it something to slide across. Also, you can put white around what you've poured to help it slide. Okay? Because sometimes the paint's heavy and it will fold underneath each other and you'll lose your cells just because it won't move on the canvas. Okay, so just put it around, make sure it touches, make it go to the end, swipe it down, or put the paint down before you start, and you can still put it around the outside to help it move too if you want to. It's all up to you. Cheap canvases like these from Hobby Lobby and Michaels. Sometimes they're not gessoed really good. They say they're gessoed, but sometimes the gesso is not good. So either paint the canvas first or gesso it, because sometimes you'll get holes in your picture where the paint won't stick to it because there's no gesso on it or nothing else for the paint to bind to that you were trying to make stick. Okay, so let's go this way. So I'm gonna lean my canvas, and then I'm gonna pull back and go back to center. If you go back to center every time you move, you'll keep your designs more or less. Sometimes it's hard to keep anything you see right here that you love. You better hope it's in real center, because the chances of it making it to what you love after you move your canvas is hard. See, like all of those beautiful cells right there. Let's go this way. I really like those cells, but I don't know how well I'm going to keep those cells when I move it. That's what I said, if you try to control flow art and not let it flow, you will be very upset with this process and you will not like it. When I first started painting, I'm such a control freak that I was so upset that I couldn't keep that beautifulness that I loved right there, because I had to move it to the end of the canvas. And so I was so stressed out, wasting canvases left and right, didn't like the pictures, because I couldn't just let it flow. I couldn't love it for what it is and what it's going to become. I wanted to control it. And the good benefit of this, me being a teacher and after I deal with pre-K 4 all day long and come home to my own family, is that I don't have to be in control of this. Like, I love to paint and I paint pictures and that too, but I have to be in control of those pictures in my hands and that when I'm doing it. But when I'm doing flow art, I can release the control of it to the flow of the paint, and that's what makes it a stress relief. If you've heard that it helps with depression and that it helps you to relieve stress and that it gives you a sense of peace, it does, if you learn to let it flow. But if you try to be a control freak and you try to control everything in this process, it is not gonna. Now see, now I'm just gonna move it around to see if I can get what I like where I like it, now that it is what it is. And so the purple kind of made it a little muddy, but I do love those cells, so I'm gonna let you get a little closer so you can see all of those beautiful cells that are up in there. Okay, so now I have to move this to another zone, little 4x4. And the paint that I have here is going to be way too much for that, so I'm going to probably make more than one of these. So when you're doing a dirty pour, you can pour straight center. I know you've probably seen ring pours, tree ring pours out there, but this has silicone in it, so it's hard to keep your ring with silicone, but we can try. You can just pour in any direction. You can make a certain design. You can go up and down. You can do whatever you want to do with this cup because it is all free for you to do because it's a dirty pour. When you flip, you get to flip. That's all you get to do. Now, when you dirty pour, you can start off real slow in the center and watch some different things happen. You can move that center. I call this making mountains or volcanoes, to another different direction. You can stop and pour again if you'd like. It's all up to you and what you're desiring at that point in time, because it's a dirty pour and you can pour it however you want to pour it. And somebody's going to yell at me because I'm not gloving up. That's why I have this here. So I can make cells pop right now, or I can just move it and show you what it's like without cells popping. I guess I'll make cells pop. So if I heat this up again, cells will pop. See all those beautiful cells? If I would have just moved it, and then I could have heated it up at the end, but when you heat up at the end, you just get small cells. See those small cells? But when you heat up now and then you move those small cells, they stretch out to be bigger cells. But it's whatever your preference is. There's no right or wrong to any of this. It's just, what do you like? And I'm not going to go there first. So see those cells there? I'm going to stretch those cells this way. So you can still make cells pop. See those little cells? So in this little corner that doesn't have any action going on, I'm gonna make some cells pop. Maybe in this corner. But if I go across the whole thing, then cells will pop. Like I'm gonna go straight down the center here. Since I have more paint in this cup, I'm going to use it. Just going to wipe off my tile and pour it down. And then I'm going to now I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when I say you'll get small cells. I'm going to let that sit for a minute and let it start stretching itself out a little bit. So you can see all the reactions that are happening in all different directions. Try not to move it that much. I just need to close in some circles. These beautiful cells. put white around it so that even if I decide not to move it all the way off, that it still has paint on it. That's what I mean when I say it's okay to have negative space. If that's what you're, just move it back a little bit. Always back to center to try to keep what you have going on before you move it in a different direction. Center. Really liking this. Center. And I think I'm going to leave the negative space. Back to center. Too much. Okay. I really like what's going on here. And then, oh, I should have filled it in with this. Dang it, I had extra paint. Wasn't thinking, but it's okay. I'm just gonna swirl just around it. So it's just not solid white. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? See all those cells just from pouring it out of a cup, then hitting a little heat to it. See all of those pretty beautiful spots in there. And so I didn't talk to you about, like, so if you have a canvas and you don't want negative space on the outside, you're gonna have to use your finger to fill in. See, tiles doesn't really matter much, but you can also fill in with a popsicle stick and not touch the paint. You can do all of that. So these are the 3 tiles that we painted. I want to thank y'all for coming. I want to thank y'all for sticking with me through all of these 3 parts. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment.